What was your earliest memory?
The earliest memory I have is, I think, when I was about 3 years old. I remember living at the top of a hill where there were a lot of villas, small apt buildings, and multi-family houses. Back then, my father and mother were in the baby food. On the evening and weekends when my father left work, it's dangerous to think about it now, but when he drove this motorcycle he took me on his lap and delivered baby food across the hill. I remember the air from that time. It was just fun. It's fascinating, and if you go down the hill, there are no obstacles in front of you. It's dangerous, but I heard that they carried me around because I liked it so much. I have a good memory of that time.
Where's the first space that is meaningful to you?
The computer room I had when I was living in Ilsan around the age of 13 or 14. At home, there was a separate computer room like a study, but it was a small scrap room that ended up with a desk and a computer. I spent most of my time in a really small place. I bought a microphone, recorded, and wrote lyrics for the first time. I think that room gave me the idea of my space.
Is the present me different from the past?
It's very different in the past. I always chased the future because I felt unhappy about the present. Now I have a vision of myself staring at it. It's like it's happening. I think I can explain that when something happens, I look at it from my own perspective and respond. I guess I am a little more grown up. I think I trained myself on the skills I need as a member of society.
What means Proof album to BTS?
I think end season 1. One day, we'll have to end the chapter and this is the moment. Some might be sad, but let's get off with our hands and open a new door with our hands. That's meaningful.
Which BTS's album is the most meaningful to you personally?
I think all the members would say the same thing. The Love Yourself, Tear album. The first reason was that this album could be postponed indefinitely or couldn't be released at all due to internal reasons. Secondly, I understand that this album received the best reviews in terms of criticism, and although the evaluation is not important, it's an album where you put your soul into each song and people recognize it. At that time, there were many competing lyricists, but I wrote it fiercely so that I wouldn't be pushed back. Like the name of the album, I wrote it with tears, and because of this album, we're able to move on.
Which was the most difficult song in the album?
Outro, Tear. It was a unit song, but it was hard to produce it. Recording was hard too. It was a song that required the most soul. A song that you can only do it if you're immersed in it. In that sense, Fake Love was the same. It was hard to rap. Actually, none of the songs in the album are easy.
What is the most important thing, past, present, and future?
Of course it's present, and I think it'll continue to be present. The future, it's coming up but not coming right up, it's something that's eventually opaque. The past is already gone. I think we should live with the present as the most important thing. I think that if you don't live in the present, you can't live in the past and the future.
What past means?
When you open an old drawer, the air inside it gives off a bit of tap dust smell. I mean, it's not so bad. When I go to my parents' house or grandmother's house, or when I go to the room where I used to live, when I open the drawer, it smells and wakes me up. It reminds me of the past. Past smells like when you open an old drawer, stand a little far away and say, oh, there was something like this.
I think you think the scent of tree is special.
My drawers are all wooden drawers. The more bitter the wood is, the smoother it is when people touch it. I love the word patina and I like the furniture that keeps patina intact. I think that's the characteristic of wood.
Do you miss anything from your back life?
Those kind of relationships we build without calculation. If you say, where do you live, who are you, you just become friends. When I was young, I was able to build such an equal relationship with just one word. Before entering school, I played cockfight with my friends at the playground and climbed the jungle gym. When I was in school, I said, who is your classmate next to me? I have heard your name a lot. With these words, my friend's friend would become my friend. After I became RM, everyone knows me, so there may have bias and it is difficult to form an equal relationship. There is a part where information about other is asymmetrical. After experiencing so many people, I closed the door of my heart. So there are times when I miss the relationships that I met as equals with a pure heart when people didn't knew me.
Is there a character that you would like to resemble?
I want to live like a main character in Hayao Miyazaki's animation. Not because I want to live in a fairy tale, but because I want to live with something like a child. I guess I am socially mature, but I still want to be an unspoiled child. Philosopher Nietzsche wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra that the three stages of the human mind are the camel, the lion and the child. A child in that sense. I want to live like a child who can be satisfied every day without being envious of others. It seems like I have too much greed to live like that, but speaking out like this in order to become that way even a little bit.
What are 3 words that can define yourself?
Work, life, balance. There are only 3. The most important thing is balance. Balance. I always think about balance. I try my best to balance these 3.
As a member of BTS, how similar is your appearance to the world and in real life?
I think it's about 70 to 80%. I've been living my life revealing myself. I've thought a lot about the risks of those choices, but I've tried to share a lot of what I am going through in my daily life. I think mysticism can be comfortable in a way. But I'm not a person who can make my character like that. I think I'm just going my way.
Have been personal changes such as KIM NAMJOON becoming clearer or fading while living as a BTS member?
I studied Carl Gustav Jung's theory and learned about persona shadow ego while doing Love Myself and A Map of the Soul series and talking about the album's message. So, as an ideal way of life, I think I can live better if I clearly separate my persona, RM of BTS and myself as KIM NAMJOON of BTS. That's what I though. However, KIM NAMJOON and RM were often identified, and they found the middle point and overlapped. I want to project the experience I gained from RM to KIM NAMJOON, and I want to melt my thoughts as KIM NAMJOON into RM's music. I'm interacting like this. I hope it overlaps a little more like a total lunar eclipse someday. If you have more intersections, you may become better at living a life that is not common.
What does I am look like?
I'm just 29 years old, greedy like everyone else, whether it's material or achievement. I have a lot of goals, I have to do better, I have to become a cooler person. I'm honest about my short-term goals and desires, but I also want to leave something timeless in the long run.
By what do you feel the best being called?
My family calls me Juna. June, I like that, reminds me of my childhood days. The people who see me as complete KIM NAMJOON human being are my family. When called like that, I am still immature, I'm still a child, I still have this image. I want to hear something pure in my heart.
What color do you think expresses yourself?
It's blue. I also like blue drawings. Blue is often used as adjective. In the old days, blue was the most expensive pigment for painters. So, historically, I think blue felt special. That makes it even more special for me. I used to like black and white, but blue is the first saturated color I fell in love with. I especially like indigo and ultramarine. That's why I like artists who use a lot of blue, like Yves Klein and Kim Wanke.
If you had to compare yourself to a scent, what would it be?
Well, I'm not sensitive to scents. But if I have to pick a scent that I like a woody scent. It smells like a temple. It's natural and it makes you feel good. I also like the scent of body lotion that I've been using for 5 years. People say I go well with the scent.
What is indispensable in your daily life?
Family and friends should be there, and if I think more broadly, it's nature. Whether it's grass, trees, water, or the nature, if I don't see them, I get stressed out. Then there must be books and music. It's tiring trying to embrace all of that, but I guess I was just born that way.
Is there something that you often say to yourself lately?
What do you want to be like now? There are times in my life when I don't know what I want to look like. So many. I do this a lot to make a choice that meets my criteria. That worry actually makes me anxious.
What comes to your mind when you hear the word dream?
Laputa, Castle in the Sky, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. I love this work so much. Looking at it, I think this is the place I want to live. I will achieve something when I'm 40. It doesn't matter if those things happen or not. More important than that is, there is a dream. I think that's what I'm thinking. That's enough. I think it's a dream to have something like Lapula, Castle in the Sky, or like a mist that you can see from afar.
If you were making a documentary about yourself, what song would you like to include on the ending credit?
I think it's natural not to have it. I don't have a song like that because I think I have a long way to go. I have to live now. But if I have a deadline in my life and I have to make an ending credit, and if my movie is over, I would have to make wow, how, while doing it.
When was the moment of proof?
I think I've lived my life hanging on to the proof. So in a way, I thought I was unhappy. Because there's no end to proof. The moment I think I've proved it, people just admit it for a second and then demand a new one. So I don't think there's any substance in the proof. Whether we top the Billboard chart or win a big award, it still doesn't prove to anyone. Looking back on the moments when I thought, this will prove it, I couldn't prove anything at all. After all, I don't think there was a specific moment of proof. Just start of my music career was the beginning of proof, and every moment of BTS was the moment of proof to me.
Is there anything you want to prove to yourself and not to the world?
There are a lot. When I look back, if I was born on this earth and did more good than harm to the world, I think that would be a kind of proof to myself. But if I can inspire people through what I do, there is a room for offsetting it a little. Whether it's offset or not, I'll know when I look back. If I don't have big regrets, if I feel a little more comfortable, then I think that would be the moment I proved myself.
Do you try not to be swayed by world standards?
Although the standards of the world are changing quickly, I believe there is a truth that does not change. Realistically, it seems like it would be too difficult if I just try to adapt to the changing world. But the truth doesn't seem to be easy to get. It's the truth that you have to pay a valuable price like time and effort, and that you have to learn it yourself. I think I'm following a milestone with respectable adults as a model. So I think it might be a little woobly.
What are you into these days?
Visual arts and music. I'm really into these too. At its core is intellectual play. Intellectual play is really great to me. Studying isn't fun, but that's how I started. Art history is very vast and long. If you study art history, you have to know architecture, you need to know philosophy, you need to know history, you need to know literature, so you need to build up a lot of culture. History is also interesting because there are some mixed answers with correct answers. If you follow the history of art like that one by one, I think that there might be a truth that goes through the times. Loving the visual arts is like continuing my own mental training. Even decades after the artist's death, when you stand in front of that person's painting, you still give full inspiration to the expression of that person who is still alive. And I often think of an artist as a fighter fighting alone in solitude. Music gives the pleasure of immediate reaction. It's a completely different level of enjoyment from visual art.
Do you have any thought every night before going to bed?
I really need to sleep right now, when I can't sleep quickly. I only think about this. I keep thinking, if I can't sleep now, I'll be in trouble. I think like this a lot. But do you actually think about this at 3 in the morning? So it's already over. Because you don't have to think about that before you sleep. I think humans are very weak. Because once I have one thought, I can't get out of it. So I force myself to drink a little or take a shower. So I try to relax my body.
If you see life as a road, how far do you think you have come?
I think I've only crossed one of the several peaks. It's a long life, so it's still a long way off. Now that humans live 130 years, we have to do something for the rest of the 100 years. So now I feel like I'm just over a hill.
If there is a door at the end of this road, what's beyond that door?
That door is probably 30 years old. I'm actually afraid of going through the door. Even though I'm afraid, when I pass by, I think there will be something that is not a big deal. For example, interest in us will wither, then it will go somewhere and I'm afraid of that. Because I don't want to let go. It wouldn't be a big deal if I let it go. It wouldn't be a big deal if I let it go, but I'm afraid. It's not that I suddenly fall somewhere, it's just that the next step will open. Even so, I am afraid because I am human, but I am waiting at the same time.
Do you think you're at a crossroads of change?
I have always been at the crossroads of change. I just don't know where this change will take me. So I'm doing my best right now. If I do my best to indulge in the things I love right now, I think this will take me somewhere again someday.
Do you believe in fate/destiny?
There are times when it is better to believe that there is a destiny, and there are times when it is better to say that there is no such thing as fate. I tend to believe in moderation. It seems too harsh to not have it at all, and I think that there is something wrong with it.
Armies, hello. I am not sure how many letters it has been that I am coming to you with. 10 years, where they say even rivers and mountains change, because I was together with you guys, who gave us generous love to us, my youth was quite very happy, and was able to sparkle. I believe each of us individually, the company, and even you all went through many changes during these times. It would be a lie to say there was no regret, shame, or disappointment, but what did not change is that every moment, it was our fullest. The reason I, who was lacking and immature, was able to become an adult this much is all thanks to Army's love and sincerity. My heart/feeling that I try to show and express for the last 10 years was probably full of inexperience and was lacking, but if it was a little bit of help to your piece and pieces in your last 10 years, I am satisfied with that. It might seem like an end, but I believe that the clock hands just went around once and hit 12 o'clock again. I still have many feelings that I want to express to you as RM and as KIM NAMJOON. Wherever, however we are, the thought of wanting to show something nice and good to the world with 7 and armies, I hope to go forward without changing. I also am looking forward to my and our chapter 2. Let's organize the moments that we had to go over once and close it, and let's make many good memories and put them in the next album. Thank you so much, and you've all worked hard/thank you all for your effort. Hope the past 10 years of 20s can be like a yellow maple leaf that falls out of a dust-covered album you open one day, where you can take it out anytime to look at for the scent and color even if it's completely dried out. I love you, NAMJOON.